First thing before, I would like to give you something based upon what we did yesterday afternoon, and then we'll dive into spirit contact therapy. And we'll really work on that one so everybody understands it. But what else? What else from yesterday do we need to talk about? Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about next, is if anyone have anything that you want to bring up. If not, the what? I don't know. That is, I'm sure you passed. Those are in unopened envelopes in my box in Westlake Village, California. Unopened. So you haven't read them? No, well, I've read yours. It's right in my notebook here. But you know, yours was a different story. You didn't follow instructions, but it was really interesting what you sent me.
I didn't follow instructions.
No, not really, but that's okay. Isabel, I wouldn't expect you to follow instructions. But yeah. No. But it was. Yes, I do, and it's very. It's like whoa. So, but enough so that it's in my appointment manual, and it's been there ever since I read it because I was fascinated with it. So. Yeah, well. Yeah. Yeah. We hadn't even got to that point yet in this course. It's good. No, I will read them when I am probably mid-October. I'm home for 2 weeks, and I'll read everything then. So, and I'll get back to you.
Will you
but
get back to each of us?
I don't know, Cindy. I don't know. Yes. God. Okay. Other questions about? Yeah.
Yesterday I said that human beings went up lower shock stopped.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't come on. Is that harm in the around the heart shock?
Well, all I know is that if you bring it up too fast, you can just, some people say you can go insane. I don't buy that necessarily. But if you bring it up artificially, most people work for years and years and years to bring up the Kundalini. And I know you have been working on this stuff for a long, long time. Yeah. Well, that's, boy, 20 years, one would think you would release it. Yeah. But why did it come up to that point and not go up? I don't know. You probably weren't ready yet. I don't feel I've had my Kundalini come all the way up either. So does anybody else in here you've had that experience? I've done yoga for, God, 30, 40 years. Yeah. Well, it's, yeah. You feel it coming up. Mm-hmm.
When I was here last August, 2008,
Mm-hmm.
class, one of the nights, it was a 4-day class, one of the nights I was laying in my hotel room.
Yeah.
Maybe someone can explain this as well. But I am laying there, and all of a sudden, I'm asleep, and I get zapped. I literally get zapped, and all this energy is just going on. Oh, wow, maybe Patty, she said she was going to work on us, but not that she had any conscious awareness working on us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, if this is what Patty feels like, this is cool. So I have no idea if that happened like at 2 or 3 in the morning or something, and then there was a smaller zap like around 4:30 or something. I don't know the exact spot. No, I stayed in a lovely Days Inn, but I literally got zapped. And last night, as I'm back at the Days Inn, I'm thinking, maybe that was something else that wasn't good. So I don't know what. Does anyone have any explanation?
Well, I think you've got spirits around here messing around. You've got definitely spirits, as we were talking about last night.
Well, one of my clients went through that, and spirit release on her. We didn't know what was wrong. She was totally blocked. She couldn't see her past life. She couldn't get contact with spirit guide. She couldn't concentrate. She couldn't do anything. But then, as I followed her spirit guide and her angel and everything I could, I mean, she felt that totally right there. I mean, hypnosis. And it's like something shifted, but she couldn't tell what. She just felt
You got zapped.
yeah, totally. It was like
That was a positive.
yes, she said it was like an antivirus software going through her.
So mine
Well,
were positive or?
Patty, well, you don't know. There's no knowing for sure. It's going to be you saying whether it was positive or negative. But Patty does, I know she does work on you because she gets reports back just all the time from people about, but is she concentrating upon you? No, I don't know. And she'll sometimes work with 100 people. I mean, she can't be concentrating on all of them, but people say, oh my God, that night I had this, and this. And in a couple of those nights, we were drinking moonshine that somebody gave us, and I know damn well she wasn't. Man, yeah, you ever had moonshine? Wow, this was down in Little Rock, Arkansas last year.
Put the ring around the nose, that was fruit.
Oh, it was out of a fruit jar too. Somebody, and I didn't, I never had it before, and somebody poured me a drink, and I, picked it up and I drank it like a big swallow, and then it just about, I thought I was literally going to die. Just sinuses open, throat. But Patty was doing that too, and she had just, we had done a. She regrets it afterwards, but she will feel, I can go around and I can heal a lot of people tonight, and I'll, usually because we'll do a healing ceremony together. We've done it in several different venues, and but always with somebody else sponsoring. And I say, Patty, don't do that. Don't do. And she'll go around and she'll pull upon everybody. And at the Coptic Festival, there were 750 people in the audience. And she couldn't reach all of them because, you'd be stumbling over people to get to them. But she still drew upon all these people and then could not hardly stand up, because she pulled so much stuff into her own body. Yeah. Yeah. Well, then she'd pay because she has to, her body just purges. She needs to be all alone, and she'll throw up and all the rest of what goes with the purging. Yeah, so, but.
The question is, because Kathy wanted me to ask this question, I had told her how I have a vibration that's very intermittent at the base of my spine,
Mm-hmm.
and it started maybe a couple years ago, which I'm thinking maybe it started after I practiced integration, but it's
Sure.
like a buzz that goes in. That's all it is.
Well, maybe that's the Kundalini just trying to get loose. I don't know. Just trying to shoot up your spine.
Well, I don't know what it is, but I've also felt it starting recently in my feet, or one foot, or something like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I don't know.
No explanation.
Anybody else know?
I did one thing.
What happens? Oh, really? Did they prove to be prophetic? The visions, or were they enlightening or soothing to you? What was? Mhm. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
The first time I came to Louisville, I had never had a reading. I think I was once, but I was not really interested in getting readings. But my friends wanted to do it, so said, well, I don't know that I broke my tailbone. I had a fall about 15 years ago. She said, I'm telling you, you broke your tailbone. And when you break your tailbone, the spirit telling you that it's to wake up. And it's an instant release of the kundalini. And that happens. And I'm looking at her like, I have no idea what you're talking about, lady.
Yeah,
And
the terminology was not even.
I had no clue what she was talking about. She said, well, you better start listening because if you don't listen, you'll break it again. And she had broken hers twice. She was falling. So
But it was 15 years before. 15 years before that you.
she was giving me a warning that I was going to be breaking it again if I didn't do up. So
Oh,
I
God.
wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I must have done it because I wouldn't fall again.
Yeah, yeah. How long ago was that?
Well, 3 summers
3
ago.
summers. Okay. Well, and now look what you're doing. You're training to, to be a medium. You're training in this. You're training.
I had a burning mask before. I feel like I hurt like hell, but I didn't know that. I don't know if it broke or not. Maybe.
Maybe they were kicking you in the butt too.
Yeah.
Get it?
No, I hadn't broken anything. I haven't fallen down. You need that warning on the pillow.
Okay, let's talk about. I will talk often to a client about how to end suffering and attain peace of mind, and I sincerely believe that this is an answer. There's many, many answers, but this is one answer. And I would have you accept karma as your philosophical basis of reality. And in so doing, you are taking responsibility for your life. Because if you accept karma, then you can't blame anyone else for anything. So if you have a client who does believe in metaphysics, is really on the path, well, tell them there's 4 steps now. Step 1 is you accept karma is the basis of your reality. You can say philosophical basis of reality, or just reality is probably better. And in so doing, you are taking responsibility for everything. Nobody who can really believe in reincarnation and metaphysics and karma and still blame their ex, or still blame the government, or still blame anybody. You just can't do it. You have to understand that you chose before you were born, and we'll explore that later, because I certainly want to do a pre-birth planning session. But you chose it for the growth it offered, for the knowledge that was gained as a result. So that's number 1. Number 2, you accept that what is. And that sounds real simple, and I think all of you have got that. You got it. You spout that, Etta. But some things are facts. Now, that's all there is to it. You know, income taxes exist. That's what it is. Gravity exists. That's what it is. You don't fight those things. But maybe your mate is quiet and stubborn. That's what it is. Try to change him at your own peril. Probably not going to work. I often tell a story of my mom who seemed to really get this. She sat in on enough of my things while she was still alive that she said, boy, I think I have really made my life a lot more difficult than it needed to be. Because she was married to my dad for 25 years and he died. And then she married another man. She married Dave, and Dave was very different. My dad was outgoing and fun and gregarious, where Dave was really kind of sullen and withdrawn, and he was just a quiet man. And he was not a communicator. And she was bound, determined to turn him into one. And he liked to stop at the bar on Friday nights and have 2 beers with his friends. And that was it. That was the extent of it. 2 beers with his friends on Friday night. And that was not acceptable to her. And she spent the better part of 25 years trying to change him to be a communicator, number 1, and to stop drinking those beers on Friday night and come home, number 2. And it was fights all along. And she didn't need to do that. He was not a communicator. So, what is. And as we talked about in that little process, the Serenity Prayer says the same thing. So, if somebody is willing to learn about what is and accept the things they cannot change instead of fighting, but people tend to fight. It's not fair, it's not right, it's not, and it doesn't matter, that's what it is. And you can't change is. So, that's the second point. Number 3 is detached mind. Now, I'm still working on detached mind, but boy, nothing helped me as much as learning about the concept, studying Zen, and deciding this made incredible sense to me, and I was going to get there. And so it has been a long time coming. As a very young man, I was in martial arts, and I loved martial arts, and my sensei was part of an army team that had been trained to kill instinctively. In other words, you don't think about killing, you just kill. And so most of the members of his team were already dead. In other words, they acted or reacted in public. But he channeled it through martial arts, and he gained enough control that he was a survivor of this special team that the armed forces had trained. And he was teaching Zen more than he was teaching anything else. And I was just lucky enough to get into that class. And the martial arts was fine, it was no lifelong love, but the Zen was. And that's why I think I was really there. And yet I'm glad to have the martial arts, because you say, Richard, if you keep hanging out at places like Waylon Jennings down the street, well, you are going to need this training. And so he would train me with things that nobody should be trained with. But, and I never used them, and I'm glad I haven't. But the Zen stuck. And the Zen, the goal of Zen basically is to attain detached mind. That you enjoy all the good stuff in life. Well, there's attached mind and there's detached mind, according to Zen. And if you have attached mind, you're enjoying all the good stuff in life, yeah. But as outside conditions change, in other words, as somebody steps in and says something nasty to you, or criticizes you, or your wife doesn't do what you think she should be doing, the outside conditions are changing. In other words, the wife is an outside condition. The friend who's criticizing is an outside condition. So you go down to neutral, and then you sink all the way into the basement of emotions. And that is hostility and anger and desire for revenge, and on and on and on. All of that basement stuff. But detached mind is enjoy all the good stuff in life, same thing. But as you come to neutral, you don't sink any further. You realize it's not going to serve you, and so you allow the negativity to flow through you without affecting you. So that basically is what it's about. And I'm not talking about psychological disassociation, which is, you know, a mechanism to avoid reality, basically. I'm talking about really being in touch with reality, but not being affected by things. You cannot change them. That's what is. Quit fighting it. You simply own. And so if you are in a situation with another person in your relationship, if you can handle it, if you can develop detached mind, and you know, you can be freed of it. And Ram Dass said, until you can go through an entire lifetime of total involvement with no disharmonious attachment whatsoever, you're going to be tied to the earth. So maybe you make it until age, what, 86? And you've just been mellow and you've been cool. You had no disharmonious attachment at all. Yeah, but then at 86 you kick a dog because, you know, it's really pissed you off. And now you have to come back. You have to come back again and start all over again from scratch and hope that you can go through another lifetime. No disharmonious attachment whatsoever. So I'm working on it. I will not claim to have accomplished it, but my God, the difference in setting it as a goal. You have? You have. Good. Good, Susan. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't do any good to take it personal. Uh-huh. It's not personal. Exactly. Exactly. You got it. You got it. Yeah.
This is what I was talking about yesterday when I said that, that my child I was teaching me not to need love, not to be attached to having like a romantic relationship. Because while I was attached to it, I was miserable, I was depressed because I was never getting it.
Right.
And now I'm not, I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't seem to agree.
Well, I...
You said love as a universal love.
No, I meant romantic love.
See, that's what you
No, romantic.
Yeah, unconditional love in my mind would be very much like self-actualization. That's accepting other people without expectations or any kind of blame or without trying to control them in any way, shape, or form. But if you long for love and you reject it in any way out of fear, you know, I fear that it will make me miserable again, I don't think you've accomplished a lot. Do you see what I mean? Would you like to have love in your life? Do you long for it?
I was talking about romantic love.
Yeah, okay. Would you like to have romantic love in your life? But you don't really want it. I don't need it because I'm afraid that I might get hurt again.
No, that's not me. That's other people. I was talking about me.
Oh, well, all right. You've detached.
Not to be miserable while you're not getting it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When you detach from something, you don't fight the universe anymore.
No.
It's what it's going to become.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's good.
I was feeling it.
You don't fight the universe.
There and all that.
Okay. Okay.
That's a mistake.
Okay. Okay. You're going to fall in love. I can see it coming. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Prediction. The idea is to be in the world but not of it. You know, basically the Eastern idea, to be a force for enlightenment, working in and through society. It's what we want to do. So let's put it in the context of your life just a minute. So somebody ran into your car. And here you are, you're at a metaphysical, a spiritual gathering, and yet somebody ran into your car and they really did a lot of damage in your car. And they didn't leave a note, they just took off, and here's your car. That's what is. That's what is. Now, how do you respond?
I wouldn't get too much about it.
Well, you can't do anything about it. Now, you can get angry, but that's going to make it worse. That's going to make it worse because anger, that's negativity going in, and it is programming your mind. And so you're angry and you're bitching about it, and you tell everybody you know. I was at a spiritual, a gathering, and some asshole ran into my car. And you go on and on and on until finally you dissipate the energy, and eventually you're going to forget about it. But what is so you can get it fixed. You'll do what you have to do to get the car fixed. And if you can do it without attachment or anger to the situation, well, you haven't made it worse. And so what I think we end up doing as we move along, and I'm talking to you like you'd be talking to a client, because they'll be talking about something that has happened in their life, and you are helping them with a formula basically to let go. So that's what it is. You can make it worse or you can make it better. So your husband is leaving you for another woman. Well, that's what it is. He's drained the bank account. Gee. And he's leaving you and he's gone. And that's what it is. Now you had the ultimate test on that one.
Oh, but all those things you were saying yesterday,
Yeah?
that's all my life. I don't know. Yeah, my husband retired from the Marine Corps, and he said, let's go to the mall, I'm getting a earring, I'm getting a ponytail.
Sorry, Susan, I did not
Sat
know.
at my kitchen table, and I saw somebody hit my car. I just sat there, watched this lady hit my car. But she was crazy up and down my street. Yeah, I come out and there's a note on my car, my other car. And, yeah, I hit your car.
So I was reading your mail.
You're in my life, yeah. Reading my life here.
But look at that. If you could handle it like Susan handled it, that's what it is. I mean, he is leaving you for another woman. He has stolen the money. You're not going to be able to prove it. That's what is. And so now you can bitch and moan and groan and carry on, desire revenge, and you're in the basement of emotions.
I find myself, you're not supposed to hold on to things, I get that.
Right.
I find myself, like I've seen myself in my life do exactly that, be completely detached. Had stuff happen around me, and the car is a perfect example. I stayed at the Legal Aid Institute for like 5 days, came back, our entire freezer had fried because the power had gone out while we were away, and so it was gone. And I just looked at it like, oh, that's good. And that was
Yeah.
it. My husband
Yeah.
came in and like, whoa, and he wasn't even the one to put the stuff in the freezer, bag by bag.
Yeah.
You know, like making
Yeah.
bags and harvesting the garden.
Yeah.
That was cool about it. But then,
Hmm?
just recently, you know, I'm in a situation and there's somebody else involved, and I just start losing, like nerves start going, and I recognize there's part of me, this is totally not going to help me if I let this go, but it's just like I couldn't catch myself. So it's like.
And what was it, Kathleen? Can you tell what it
Well,
was?
it tied back to like when you're a kid, you know, that stuff that's still there about somebody treating you a certain way, and then that was being
Yes.
recreated in my mind
Sure.
by the situation I was in. And so like I didn't know how, I felt like I didn't have the tools, which is silly because I have the tools.
Yeah,
Because I
you do.
have like shelves of meditation and I know it works. I've proven it to myself that it works. And yet in the moment I lost it, you know, and
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, how do you know that there's another alternative? How
Right.
do you keep that even feel so you don't like go past the knees or something, you know, like
Right.
catch yourself before you get.
Well, I programmed myself that if I did this, I would, and I did that a long time ago. I'm not programmed really for that right now, but I could do it very fast. So when I do that, I do not react emotionally. I'm going to choose the best possible reaction. And so, you know, a week, 2 weeks at the outside, if you give yourself that suggestion every day, you have fully programmed post-hypnotic suggestion. And that's, probably about a quarter of my clients, maybe a third, they're going out of the office with a post-hypnotic suggestion that whenever you do this or whatever, you know, you touch your arm or whatever, yeah, NLP anchoring, you know, whatever, that you're going to be alert to this. And when you do that, and then I'll repeat many times, and we can go back over it if you like, but this is the post-hypnotic suggestion that we do. And so when I became determined to try to develop, to develop detached mind, why I programmed, and like I said yesterday, sometimes the people in the office, when things were really intense, when I was first doing that, they'd look and they'd say, oh shit, you know. But I try not to let anybody see it, but it was.
I think it's your intent, and it's just like anything that you program for
Yeah.
yourself. Like every day I say,
Mm-hmm.
what is going to get me? This is the vision I have for my life. Does this reaction, does it support that or not? And if you just start to be in the habit of doing that, is this
Yeah.
getting me closer to my vision or further away?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
when you get upset with yourself, then you spiral down into that ego where when you're mad at yourself for getting mad, and when you're mad at yourself for getting mad at yourself,
I know.
for getting mad,
And then pretty soon you go nuts to this. I'm just not going to get mad at myself because I'm going to push the positive.
when you do
Yeah,
it, then just get it over it. It happened.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get over it and move on.
And I think another component,
It's easy.
but you know, I think another component is you're kicking yourself for that. But number one, number two, you're learning from it, you were conscious, you know, and awareness of it. And it's also a window into, you were able to reflect where it came from, and it's a window to what you need to get.
sure,
So,
sure, sure.
So don't get mad because it happened. It's just something that you stuck as a kid that you needed to unstuck.
And then you project it because you had that reaction as a kid, and now it's brought it all back up again. Yeah, and it catches you off guard. But you caught yourself, Kathleen, right away. You caught yourself, and then each time you catch yourself, you are detaching a little more and a little more and a little more. So it works.
I've got to put this in. I've been diagnosed medically professionally with the following things wrong with me: post-traumatic stress disorder, asthma,
I read your ad. You had that in your ad.
and I had arthritis. Let's see what else I had. Bronchitis, and that's a few of them. I don't recall. But you know, I've had it, and it's negative emotions. Negative emotions go to every cell in the human body. And you get rid of negative emotions, it all goes away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It all goes away.
Patty Conklin always says over and over again, your body believes everything you say. And of course, if you're coming out of negative emotions, you're being negative, and even if you're thinking a negative thought, your body believes it.
And that's trying to change what is.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so that's her main message. I hear her give it every time, you know, she's on stage, is your body believes it. And you can share that with your clients, right? Because that ought to scare them into not thinking negative. Yeah.
Emotion
Yeah.
is energy.
Yeah.
Energy moving.
Yeah.
Energy moving.
Yeah.
That's where your disease is.
That's where your disease is. I agree with you.
Disease starts right there, in the mind, not in the
Yeah. Oh, I know. And it starts emotionally.
That's right.
And we're going to work on that a little bit too. I got some stuff I really want to share with you. So anyway, I think we've covered this basically. But it works the other way. You know, we could be talking about something good that happened as well. You're the most beautiful woman in the world. Well, that's what it is. Accept it, you know. Don't, no, I'm not. You know, then you're starting to say negative stuff to your body. You're getting bald. Well, that's what it is. So don't resist. Buddha's words, it is your resistance to what is that causes your suffering. Boy, if you can get your client to understand this, then you are doing a great, great service. Always, you know, very often unimaginative radio hosts say at the end of their show, what is the parting wisdom that you'd like to leave our listeners? And I just automatically say, well, it is your resistance to what is that causes your suffering. There's probably no wiser statement ever been made. And nobody understands it, I know damn well. You just say it really simply like that. But to me, that's the ultimate wisdom. So, you know, some of this stuff is hard, obviously. But it's a way out of suffering. So the third point here is detached mind. In fact, I don't know if we did this last time, but close your eyes for just a minute and remember back to the last time that you were upset with somebody else. Now, did we do this? Huh? 2 days ago. Okay. We didn't do this, did we? Okay. I want you to remember the last time that you really, really, really were upset with someone else. And be aware that from a karmic perspective, a spiritual viewpoint, well, you created this situation to test yourself. Big or small, it was karmic, because everything we do is karma. So, did you handle it with love, with compassion, or did you handle it with anger and negativity? Okay, now, I want you to be aware that you had expectations of approval or control. You got that? You had expectations of attaining the other person's approval or controlling their actions. And the question I'd like you to ask yourself is, where do I get the right to expect others to be the way I want them to be? Okay, now, in regard to you being upset, be aware that your expectations were in conflict with what is. Obviously, it's going to be impossible for you to be upset about anything if your expectations were not in conflict with what is. Okay, you can open your eyes. Expectations are deadly. Don't have expectations. And if the expectations are in regard to something, and that you get there and you experience whatever they're about, and it doesn't meet your expectations, the experience, then you're going to have a conflict. Because what is reality. So you go into a restaurant and you expect that in the restaurant they'll be halfway nice to you, and they'll bring your food and it'll be warm, and you have a nice meal and you pay for it and you leave. But maybe you went into the restaurant and the woman who was the waitress broke up with her boyfriend last night, and right about now she doesn't care if she lives or dies. And so she takes your order, she is surly, she brings your meal, she slops it down on the table, and it's cold. And you are now in a position of getting very upset or reacting by saying, well, what is this? You have certain options. You can get up from the table, you can refuse the meal, refuse to pay for it, certainly, and walk out. You can get mad at the waitress, but boy, that will do no good. She is really upset already, so she'll probably bite your head off. What do? Life is just one of those little life tests that we have all the time. So, what do?
But you don't have to act out in anger or hatred or show your disappointment or your frustrations for you to be upset. I mean, I feel it here.
Yes.
I do treat people fairly, I think, with
Yes.
understanding and love, but I feel it here. The upset is here.
And so you want to make it worse. So you're going to be nice to them, but you're going to stuff it. You're going to repress it.
No, I tell them my opinion.
Okay. Then if you do that in a nice way, and okay,
Still here.
it's still there. Well, once you've expressed it to the waitress, wouldn't you have released it in your own mind?
No, it still goes on in my mind.
Okay.
I feel
Okay.
like it's sort of suffering.
Okay, well, you've got to move past that. You've got to realize all I'm doing is making it worse. And so by suffering and by going over it and over it, you're making it worse because you are programming your mind. Negativity, 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 and that negativity is going to have to be balanced. So you will create something negative in your life as a result. Once you've had enough negative input, then you're going to have the output. You're going to fall down the stairs and break your nose while you're walking upstairs. You're going to do something to balance the negativity that you are feeding into your mind. I think you can.
Yes, but it's still.
I think you are in total control. And you can decide out of knowledge. I'm not advocating you roll over and, none of that. But if you know you're making it worse, stop it. Stop doing it. It's not intelligent. Yes, you are, because you're programming your mind with negativity.
It's not negativity to feel you're upset.
You feel you're upset, you program your mind with the upset. You do. Realize that. You don't want to do that. And so to the degree, it's not overnight, but you start working on it. You can't change what you don't recognize. And you're going to find your clients, they don't even recognize some changes that will make their life better. It'll simply make their life better. So, this is one plan. I think this one works for me because I am very Zen oriented because I desire to be Zen oriented. I embrace that philosophy. And basically my communications are metaphysics and what I call a streetwise Zen. I'm not advocating Zen practice. That wouldn't do it for me. But there's a streetwise aspect to Zen that makes a lot of sense. It's just plain practical. But there's dozens and dozens of other spiritual practices
that are going to work better for other people. Some of them are very holy, and you know, that's not my personality. And so this works for me, but if it's one that I think would serve you. Now there's number 4. The 4th point is viewpoint. Now reality exists as that which you experience. And the way you experience life is based solely on the way you choose to view what happens to you. In other words, your viewpoint is going to be the deciding factor in whether you experience life as a hostile separateness, maybe one way to say it, or a tranquil oneness. So you have the ability to decide on your viewpoint. I mean, in Zen they say there's nothing to seek and nothing to find. You are already enlightened. All the words in the world are not going to give you what you already have. So, if you're wise, you're simply going to go within and use the knowledge you already have. But in most situations in our lives, think about this. You got a client, and that client, he wants things to change, and he wants things to change the way he wants them. And most things in life, we don't actually solve. We don't actually solve except through viewpoint, through our perspective. But if you can change your perspective, you can eliminate the effects of a problem. And if you've eliminated the effects of a problem, you no longer have a problem. If you're no longer affected, you don't have a problem. So, although nothing may have changed about the situation, the problem situation, nothing has changed but your viewpoint. And you've solved it. And that's the way we are going to solve most of our problems in life, because we cannot change other people. What is. We can't change them. So if you can get your client, if you can talk to your client about changing their viewpoint, helping them to look at several different viewpoints maybe, you are really serving them. Now, in the material I gave you a few weeks ago, you have the whole book on that PDF file, and how to reinvent yourself. And this is all information you use in combination with the understanding in that book. But it's the most important information in a lot of ways. So maybe your husband is a male chauvinist, and it pisses you off every time he expresses that male chauvinist attitude of his. Why? It pisses you off and you get upset. And so you're going to have to decide, well, what is I'm married to a man who is a male chauvinist. That's what it is. Now, I can choose to leave him. I can choose to leave. And would you want to do that? Ask your client. Well, no. But I sure wish he'd change and not be a male chauvinist. Well, are you willing to put up with this for another 5 years? And the chances are the client will say, no. Another 5 years of this? No. Well, are you willing to put up with it for 4 years? No. 3 years? No. 2 years? No, I'm not. I'm tired of it. 1 year?
well, maybe 1 year. And then you can tell them, well, your relationship is terminal in 1 year. Now you can change your viewpoint, or a year from now you're getting a divorce. And you know, you're just bringing it into perspective for them, and they realize, God, and hopefully they're just going to change their viewpoint. So, accept him for what he is. If you're going to stay in the relationship, accept your mate for what he is. Viewpoint. So, simple little set of 4 ideas that have really changed people's lives. I get letters from people who I talked about this 20 years ago. And they'll say, oh my God, you know, I found your name on the web and I know I haven't been in communication for 20 years, but thank you for that. Or thank you just for what is. You know, that changes more people's lives than anything else. So stop trying to change what you cannot change. Yep. So, I love teaching. You see, all this stuff was part of my Bushido training. And I love doing that Bushido training. I couldn't do it anymore the way I did it in the past, because I just can't approach things that hard-ass anymore, because I was really a hard-ass in doing that training, and it's just not in me to do it. You know, just way too spiritual a training these days. So I tried to do it again, and I just laugh at myself when I'm giving people so much shit about the fact they came back late from lunch and they're not keeping their agreements, and on and on and on, and it's not me. I end up laughing at myself.
So that's when you wrote the assertiveness booklet?
No, the assertiveness training is not. That's good. That's solid stuff. But the Bushido training was very much like EST and LifeSpring and Insights and all of those. Yeah, so you know that. You don't? Well, they were big human potential trainings that were really popular in the 80s. And the S doesn't exist anymore, but they exist in the form of what, I don't know what the name of it is. Gladly forgotten. But they're still there, and they're just blatant brainwashing operations, and they don't care.
Well, I took the test. I was running a chemical plant. I had 120 employees back there. And my boss decided I was the best.
Oh,
And he paid for it.
yeah.
That was about 3 or 4 days, the most miserable life I ever spent. It ain't worth it. That is true.
They call the police on me. So
Yeah, I run through the chemical plant.
interested. Yeah, I always figure that, boy, I'm in their files somewhere as an enemy of the operation. So.
And 25 years ago, when that cold food fit,
Uh-huh.
that
Yeah.
But today I'd eat the damn cold food and walk out and say I'll never go back there.
That's it. Yeah, that's you make, you know, your decision and you vote with your dollars.
I'd eat the cold food, walk out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I know. I agree.
Now, the 4 steps that you just said, what was that? I mean, the 4 steps of what? I mean, I know it's something that you want to teach your clients, but did you...
To end suffering and attain peace of mind.
Yeah, what was there a name to that? Or there's no name to that?
4 steps to end suffering
Oh,
and attain peace of mind. Yeah. I have somewhere in my archives, I mean, this is not new stuff. I have an elaborate a tape. I don't think we've ever converted the knowledge to CD. But it was part of that training. And so a part of what I'll be sharing with you here is out of the Bushido training, because I developed techniques that nobody else really has developed. And they work. And boy, you know, I mean, I would do instant in seminars, and once in a while I still will, where you just walk up to somebody and you have to have the support people, like Susan says, behind you to catch them. But you just, if you've got the audience all conditioned, you can count on a half of them responding when you touch them in the forehead, and so they'll just go into instant regression. And so you can go around a room with a lot of people and you can just do one regression after another after another. And so I realize that most of you are not in this training because you want to do large groups, but I contend you'll have that opportunity in time, and hopefully you'll. Well, sure, it applies to small groups too. Yeah.
We won't take on 14 at once, though.
No.
We won't take on 14 people at once, though.
Who was doing? Oh, yeah.
14 at once.
Yeah, it was, yeah, 14 at once. Yeah,
My first time to hypnotize.
yeah.
Usually perfect.
I remember I took on a whole 12 people on stage at one time, and having them all do different things on a stage hypnosis act. And I got through with that show and just had a few drinks and decided we won't do that again. And we had 1,100 people. That was actual number in the audience at that night. And I never tested it ahead of time. It was the dumbest thing I've ever done. I'd never tested it. It just boldly went out. Well, it did in a way, but I just had such a feeling of having lost control about 10 times while I was there on stage that night. But I just kept going through and it worked. But afterwards, it was just like, oh my God. And everybody around me was doing the same thing. So.
Is Susan going to entertain us this week with stage hypnosis again?
Yeah, why? Well, that's a good idea.
Another bird. I don't know why, but it just came to me. This client I was talking about who was very logic and was logic and cute and get out, but he destroyed the castle he had around him. He said that next time he will take drugs before he comes to me, so that he will go under more.
Oh, he'd take drugs?
Yeah, and I didn't know what to tell them. What's yours? Like what kind of drugs?
I know. What in the world would he?
Mushrooms or something? I don't know, listen.
Yeah, he doesn't need you if he's going to take mushrooms. Prozac or something like that.
Need to guide him.
Yeah. You know, I used to be, I do evening things when I was real early in this, and people were still, I could fit 22 people in the living room, and I'd always tell them, don't drink ahead of time. Don't smoke anything, and don't be, drinking ahead of time. But I don't think it makes any difference, so I don't know. I'd probably be intrigued with trying it. To somebody, said to me, I'd say, well, you're buying my time, so, yeah.
So you've
Come in.
never had a client like that?
Well, no, not who really knowingly. I know a lot of people take drugs, a lot of people are on Prozac, so I'm sure I have not knowing it.
No, I mean a hallucinogenic drug, not just any.
Oh, so you're not talking about a Prozac to calm down.
No, I told you.
No, you just said drug. So,
And then I said,
hallucinogenic.
yes.
Oh, dear God, I don't think I'd want to do that.
Isn't that open someone up to that?
Yeah, number one, you've really opened them up, and so now you're going to end up with possibly entities in there that you don't want.
But after protection,
Well,
like white light protection.
tell them you've used protect. Tell the entity, oh, I've got white light around them. They can't. I think they're going to go, oh, really? I don't know, Isabel. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't take a hallucinogenic anyway, because I feel that would open holes in my aura, and so I really wouldn't want that.
I did tell him that I'm not for it, but.
Yeah, but if he's going to do it anyway, it'd be kind of interesting. All right. Well, I think we need to take a break because I don't want to start doing the spirit hypnosis till after break, and we're about 5 minutes from there anyway. So 15-minute break. And Cindy has put out goodies for our break.